Hello and welcome to Commerce 360, your all-round business program on CTV. On this episode of Commerce 360, we are bringing you top business news from around the world. I am Ijoma Ekwosi. Senate hands NNPCL boss 10-day ultimatum over 200 trillion naira unaccounted funds. New tax laws to take effect from January 2026. Tinubu signs 4 tax bills into law. New tax regime begins January 2026. And BBC launches US paid subscription to news website. The Senate Committee on Public Accounts has issued a 10-day ultimatum to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL Group Chief Executive Officer Bayo Ojulari to respond to 11 critical financial queries related to discrepancies in its audited financial statements, warning that failure to comply could attract serious constitutional consequences. The ultimatum, which will expire on July 10, comes after NNPCL on Thursday formally requested a 2-month extension to respond to the queries, a request the committee flatly rejected. The chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Zach Adedeji, has disclosed that the newly signed tax laws will take effect from January 1, 2026. According to him, this will give the government 6 months for both sensitization planning. Adedeji's announcement comes shortly after President Bola Tinubu assented to the 4 tax reform bills recently passed by the National Assembly. President Bola Tinubu has assented to the 4 tax reform bills recently passed by the National Assembly. The short ceremony, which took place at the Presidential Villa recently, was attended by the leadership of the National Assembly and some legislators, governors, ministers, and aides of the president. The 4 bills, the Nigerian Tax Bill, the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill, the Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Bill, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill were passed by the National Assembly after extensive consultations with various interest groups and stakeholders. The BBC, Britain's public broadcaster that is struggling with strained finances, recently launched a paid subscription service to its website in the United States to help fund its journalism for $49.99 a year or $8.99 a month. Users will have unlimited access to the BBC's news articles, feature stories, and the BBC News television channel, a statement said. The offering will help fund the BBC's journalism and storytelling, it added. And next is our real estate segment with Tony Abba.
Hello and welcome to the real estate segment of your program, Commerce 360. This is a business show where we discuss various aspects of our business life and the Nigerian economy. Today we have a guest in the studio, Ambassador Tina Kenechukwu, a real estate ambassador and a business consultant. Ma, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you very much. We'll start with the basics. Now, real estate sound common, sound easy to know, but there are some people who may not know what real estate means. What will you be telling them that is real estate?
All right, so thank you so much. First of all, I'd like to start by appreciating this opportunity given to me to be here. I mean, I do not take that for granted. Now, back to the question, what is actually real estate? Now, real estate is actually, anything that have to do with properties, buildings, and whether anything that have to do with properties, anything that have to do with building in any form, any aspect you are dealing, whether it's a completed building or a landed property, all of them encapsulated into what we call real estate.
Okay. Somebody hearing you for the first time may want to go into real estate. If you are to advise such kind of person and the areas which the person should focus, what areas will you think he should be looking at?
All right, so real estate is actually very broad. And like I was speaking to a friend today, and I was telling the person that I don't know if there's really any particular person or an organization that is covering all aspects of real estate, like one organization or one individual. Because why? It's very broad. And then again, it's also capital intensive. So it's also usually very important that you have a niche for yourself and stay with that, and then promote that, and then push it, and it goes for you. Now, for real estate, there are different angles to it. For me, there are categories of real estate. Number one is that, first of all, we'll talk about construction. Construction is when you have to do with development. You talk about the developers and all of that, and people who develop, build estate, build properties, and then, of course, before they will start to give it out to people. And on the second one, again, we'll talk about people that we'll call the real estate financiers. These people have the fund, and they would rather want to invest the fund into real estate and all of that. And then that is the aspect of where people call JV. I mean, you've heard about it, joint venture. So you see one person have a landed property and the other person have the fund. And then you bring your fund and this other person bring the property, the land, and then you finance it. Apparently, the person that have the land don't have the money to develop yet, but someone has the money but don't have the land. So you can bring in your fund and then finance that land, and a structure will be erected there. And of course, you have what we call a sharing percentage for that. So there are people like that, they are just financiers, and when they finance, they take their own percentage. And of course, we also have the one we call the property management. You can decide to be a property manager. What do you need to do? All you need to do is school yourself. Whether you're professionally trained in that regard or not, you can actually learn that from people that are already doing that and get to understand what it means to manage a property. I know a friend who manages property for people that are within and even and outside the country. This person, basically most of the people from their town, from his town, that want to invest into properties in Abuja, he manages the property. And then for management, this person have now grown into even becoming the developer. So you can decide to pick. If you have like up to 4 or 5 properties that you are managing, it's a very good source of income, and you get your commission at the end of the day. And then of course we have property leasing. There are people that actually rent a property and they lease it out. Because you can build a property, but you don't really know, much about the need. And these people already know the need. They can rent it out and they lease it out. So you can also decide to go into leasing, property leasing. And of course, we also have, where we have the short let apartment. I also know someone that the person works in Abuja, but he shuttles between Abuja and Lagos. Guess what? When the person is not in Abuja, he put the house on short let. People can actually rent, instead of the house just being there, you can actually short let it and then be paying. When he's coming back to Abuja, you don't need to go to a hotel, it will still be there. So the house is not just empty and depreciating, it's generating income. Myself and my team, there was a time we traveled to Lagos for an event. Guess what? We lodged in a 4-bedroom duplex apartment, and the person that owns the property is actually a family man that lives in the US. He built it to a taste for family. But guess what? When he is not in Nigeria, he put it on short let. When he comes back to Nigeria, that is where his family stays. So you can also have something like that. So you don't need expertise for that. All you need to do is just to understand a little bit of business and how it works, and then you're up. You get yourself registered, download maybe Airbnb app, or maybe tell a few people and they get you recommendation. And then of course, the final aspect I want to talk on that regard is actually the aspect of the agency. Well, I'm sure you've had a lot of people, people that are agents and all of that. Yes,
between.
Yes, the agency is just simply, connecting a seller and a buyer. So you are just a middle person, connecting a seller and a buyer. It could be in the aspect of selling, property. It can also be in the aspect of renting. Of course, that one, for me, basically as an agent, what you need is credibility and integrity. You don't need to go to school, whether you're educated, you're not educated. You can actually do that and carve a niche for yourself, and you're making money. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. And then what I want to also I want us to talk about is the types of real estate. I know some people may just believe that real estate is all about buildings, because what you just said is all about building. Are there other aspects of real estate?
Okay, so yes. Yes, so for real estate, for me, real estate is actually divided basically into four. The first one is what we call the commercial aspect of the real estate. The commercial aspect of it, of course, is where you have buildings, properties, strictly for business. Like, for instance, hotel. Hotel is not just only hospitality. There's a property that is actually housing that hotel.
Yeah, sure.
Do you understand? So that is a commercial aspect of real estate, and someone is managing that property. So someone can decide to build a structure, a hotel, and then of course you give it up for business. And then of course you also have just like we mentioned, the service apartment and all of that. When it's a structure that is being used for business, it becomes commercial. The second aspect is residential. When we talk about real estate, a lot of people think it's only where we go to sleep and then wake up, which is what everybody knows, the residential aspect of it. Where you can actually build houses where people can stay and all of that, people can live and all of that. And then we have the industrial part of real estate. We have the industrial part of real estate, which is actually you can decide to build a warehouse. I give an example. When you go to DD, we have the largest building material market there, right? And then a lot of people already have shops, but they are looking for warehouses. People can decide these areas that people are not, because everybody wants to talk about, rent a house, rent an accommodation, or buy and sell. But these areas are very important. Some of them are stocked in the middle. They have these goods and all of that, but they don't even have a warehouse. You can decide to also go to the aspect of that industrial, part of real estate and all of that. And of course, we have the land. The land is actually property not developed yet. So there are people that specifically, sometimes you go in the street of Abuja, you see some people hand over a leaflet to you, and they're talking about, selling land and all of that.
Locations.
Yes, various locations. So you can choose any of these aspects and then stay on it. You can decide to stay on the land. You can start to stay on residential, commercial, and all of that.
Okay, now we look at real estate as a very big industry, multi-billion-dollar industry in some developed countries, and then in Nigeria, we are also having difficulties with our economy. Can you say that real estate in Nigeria is profitable at this time with our current economic situation?
All right, so yes, I can actually say yes. Real estate is a very big business, especially in this city of Abuja where we are right now. I can actually say that real estate is the oil well of this town at the moment, yes. Now, in the past, people did not consider, maybe that's my perception actually, I don't know, but I felt that in the past, people didn't know that real estate can actually be, as big as it is right now. A lot of people want to do, oil, those things driving Nigeria and all of that. People want to own an oil block and all of that. But recent, a lot of people beginning to realize that this thing is a big thing. Do you understand? And especially one thing that our government has actually done, kudos to the Nigerian government, is that being able to manage all of these expatriation or taking out foreign currencies and all of that outside, people having to take money to save outside of the country. I think all of those things are well regulated right now, and then that way a lot of people now realize that instead of taking money out or putting it somewhere or buying foreign currency, why can't I invest into real estate? And if you watch what is happening, a lot of beautiful estate, a lot of things are beginning to spring up, and guess what, these are multi-million-dollar projects. And one part of it again is also breeding massive development. So I can actually say that right now is very profitable, and for me personally, I will advise anybody that have money, invest in real estate. You can never go wrong, because it will keep appreciating and keep appreciating. You can never go wrong with real estate.
Okay, now for the fact that we have housing deficits in Nigeria, how can the government leverage on this very important sector to create either employment or to help Nigerians solve the housing needs?
All right, okay. So for that aspect, let me start with my own little experience. I'm actually also a mortgage consultant. And in Nigeria, there's what we call the NHF. It's called the National Housing Fund. Yes. So every civil servant in Nigeria, automatically, once you're a civil servant and government is being paid on the government payroll, you automatically contribute 2%, thereabout, either 2% or 2.5% of your monthly salary goes to this, National Housing Fund account. Now, the goal is that you can actually use that fund to get a house on mortgage. But if in the event that you couldn't get a house or mortgage before you retire, that money can be given back to you upon your retirement with a little token of interest, right? Now, a lot of people are not aware that they can actually access loan, and they can actually access housing loan or mortgage through that. So now, it is actually very difficult, especially in our economy, for government to build houses for everybody. But what do you need to do? What you need to do is you can actually leverage on the housing fund. Now, what beautiful thing about it is that in the past, it used to be only civil servant. But now, even if you are self-employed, so long as there are credibility that you can pay, you have your NIN, you have your BVN, and then you can make refund, you can actually apply. And then you get these houses on mortgage, and you gradually pay. And then you gradually pay, maybe for 10 years, for 15 years, it will be spread across and you pay. So for me, what I can say in that aspect, why government is doing what they are doing to provide for the masses, I also feel like people can also approach the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria or individuals like us that are mortgage consultants, and will be able to guide you through on how you can get a mortgage loan to develop a landed property that you already have, or even get a house through developers, and then the Federal Mortgage Bank will pay for you and you gradually pay back gradually. So all of these things are obtainable. It's just the right information.
Okay, thank you very much. As we wrap up now, I have a concern. This is an industry that is like an all-comer affairs, and then there's need for regulation. What do you think? What would be your advice in just 2 seconds? What would be your advice to the regulatory agency on the aspect of quackery and the unprofessional practices in the sector?
All right, so the honest truth about it is that, you can't take away quackery from any industry at all, because where there's original, there's always a counterfeit.
Yeah.
Yes. In fact, what even actually give birth to counterfeit is because there's an original. So someone want to imitate that, right?
Yeah.
So the advice I will give on that aspect is that, part of it is that a lot of people are not well informed. There are actually systems that are set in place already. For instance, if you want to buy a property in Abuja now, what are the things you need to do? What are the things? There are regulatory authorities that you actually need to approach. You want to buy a property in Abuja, the first thing you do is that, first of all, you might have to want to visit Abuja High Court. Find out, first of all, that property is in court. You don't know how many people that have bought such property, so you need to clarify that aspect. So, and then you also need to visit, yes, do a search. You visit we have the development control. We'll have the people. Abuja is the masterpiece, already planned. You have the urban control, and then this is all of those people, and you have the ages, which is the Abuja geographical, I think, system, something like that. So you visit them, and then they will be able to properly guide you and tell you this is what you need to do, because anybody can approach you and tell you, come and buy this property, come and buy this property. But it's also important for you to know that these organizations has been put in place for them to regulate all of these things, But sometimes a lot of people are in a haste. You just want to pay. I want to park in. I just want to have this property. Maybe they are just hurrying you and they are telling you need. So another person is on it, and then you forget to do all of this due diligence. There are organizations that are already been put in place to enable you to do your due diligence. But however, for the quackeries and all of that, all I can say right now, especially those people on, what I can say now is that since there is no system maybe to fish them out right now, it's just for people to be careful and then do your due diligence. Yeah,
yes, as you said, people should be careful and then not lose money in this very difficult time in our national life, because money is not easy to come by. Dear viewers, this is where we are going to be dropping the anchor on today's segment of the program Real Estate on Commerce 360 on Catholic Television of Nigeria. My guest has been Ambassador Tina Kenechukwu, a real estate ambassador and a business consultant. Thank you very much for sparing your time with us.
Thank
we hope
you.
when next we invite you, please oblige us.
Thank you.
This is where we'll be dropping the anchor on today's segment on real estate on Commerce 360. Over to you, Ijoma, for the continuation of the program.
Real estate is certainly the oil well in Abuja. Welcome back. Next is the interview segment with a rising infotech entrepreneur.
Christech Computer started 2001. We registered with CAC from selling of hardwares and softwares and computer consumables.
So Christech Computers has, let's say, it has spanned more than 10 years, over a decade.
Yeah, it is. We have passed more than 10 years, over a decade. Second, we have trained people since we started. People like Smartech Computers, Fortech Computers, and Formats. These are the people we started with from 2003.
Okay.
And we are still training more. Even some are still under training.
Okay. For a business like yours that has gone through these phases, it has not. We know is not easy to have come this far. What are the challenges? Can you point out the challenges you must have gone through in the course of this business?
Yeah, we have a lot of challenges by governments. We need the support by our government, support in environment, support in innovate the IT business in Nigeria. Right. IT business have a lot to touch the youth. If government will come in for supplies, support an individual, because we need some security on the business, we need some encouragement on the environment, because this IT business, we are pleading government to give us a space that we call computer village, if it's that name. So let people in other neighbor states to come in and trade the IT business.
Government has been talking of innovation, digital, talking of the AI and tech generally. How have you been able to key into government programs in order to develop or to increase the capacity of this the business so far?
Yeah, we have been hearing that, but the challenge we are having is implementation. If they can implement it where that every common man can kill and have the result. We have been hearing it, but the answer, who do you going to meet? Who is in the center to make it happen? So that is the major issue. If they can form a community or a set of people that will look into it and kill. A lot of people want to kill him, but they don't know who to meet. So let government come out and let us know where to go.
For a business like yours that has spanned almost 25 years, we say congratulations to you, for maintaining that. Can you kindly share with us some success tips? There are things you must have done differently, because other industries, one or two like yours, that might have started almost the same time you did, maybe they weren't able to meet up for the 5-10 years. The yours has spanned this far. What success story can you share with us?
Well, the first success is God. Whatever you are doing without God, there is no success. The second success is integrity. Integrity is bigger than money. When you build integrity, people who can trust you, that is the success you have. Without these two key things, you'll find it difficult to succeed in any business you do. So there is a lot I can say, that these two is the key point. That's what makes us where we are today.
Then your advice to people, other business prospective business owners that want to go into the same business like you, that are looking up to you, what can you tell? What advice do you have for them?
I have to tell you that this issue of looking for fast money, there is no short way of making success. My advice that they can use what they have to work for themselves. All this tomorrow you hear Yahoo boys, they use cyber, so they buy laptop to do cyber whatever, hijacking people information or whatever. That cannot help. The help of computer is when you use it to develop yourself. You need to have programming. You need to have software. Like if you talk about somebody like Bill Gates, where they have the idea, they make use of it to have a software. Many young boys can program a software. There's a lot of software coming up. This Uber and so on, with focus on this computer or whatever you have, you can use it to create something for yourself instead of using it in the other way around. So I would like youth should come together, use the wisdom that God has created in you to create something good, not something evil, so that this issue of Yahoo hijacking people information should stop. So I pray that let the Spirit of God direct them to make proper use of what they know and create something good for the society.
This is where we'll be drawing the curtain on this episode of Commerce 360 on Catholic Television of Nigeria. Until we come your way again, let's do business together. I am Ijeoma Ikwosi.